Good afternoon and welcome. URC's new MX HomePro Mondays. Myself, Hank Eisengrein, and Elvin Lopez from URC headquarters. Typically I show a picture of myself, but for today we won't have to show you a picture of Hank. I think a lot of people know who I am after 15 years at URC. Some people may say, who's this Elvin guy? Well, Elvin is a technical writer who's writing a lot of the manuals, which Americans don't read. But the bottom line is, here we have a brand new system. It's not complete control. It's not total control. It's MX HomePro. So it's a brand new system that we've just introduced October 1st, 2016. And it's an affordable two-way feedback system that allows us to get smart home information at an entry-level price point. So let's look at the agenda on our MX HomePro introductory class. We're going to look at the features and benefits. We're going to look at the parts and the pieces. We'll look at the hub, which is the smart brains of the system. We'll look at the remote, which is optional, but we strongly recommend you use a remote everywhere there's TV channel surfing. There's a free app for both the Apple and the Android type devices. You'll also see another app that is free for Z-Wave devices. We'll talk about getting started. We'll show you the importance of setting up a dealer account. Now, some of you on today's webinar may already have a Z-Wave account from Total Control, but MX HomePro has a different dealer account. It's quick and easy to register with a pull down at the top of the mxhomepro.com window, and we'll show you how to do that step by step. It's a little tricky, but once you get it done, the beauty is you can save all your work in the cloud, which means you don't have to roll a truck. Anywhere you can go and access all your jobs, make changes, and send those changes through to your customer system. Dealer account also gives you the ability to limit who have access to what products and programs. So if you have a company with multiple installers, you can have an administrator, and you can also grant access or remove access. There's a how-to tutorial we're going to go through and show you. And then we'll show you some training resources. There's plenty of things that we have available in addition to these webinars, live training. Elvin's got some beautiful manuals. We've got videos from our good buddy JR, Jeff Rogers. So, MX HomePro, it's a new affordable system. US retail price, $299 for the hub, $299 for the remote. The app that you see in the center of your screen is free, and $249 for the optional TRFZW2 Z-Wave gateway. So people say, Hank, you know, I've done tons of URC remotes. Why would I want this? Well, it's the next generation. Because it's cloud-based, it means you have access to your projects anywhere. The other thing is it's a smart system with two-way metadata feedback. So while you may still be doing some complete control systems, this price point gets you into a very competitive marketplace. And you'll notice with some of the features that the URC engineers have added, how this really does address the needs of today's customer. Today's customer is looking for everything to be free, wireless, it just works. And those are challenges because, as you all know, having a robust network is one of the keys for today's installations. Now, this is affordable. It's two-way metadata feedback. It's multi-room. How many rooms is multi-room? 5. So you can start small with a single room and you can expand. How many hubs can I have? 15. And we'll see that in a slide that Elvin has coming up. There's no special programming software. Why? Because it's in the cloud. So what happens is we're going to go later in today's class and you'll actually see how quick and easy it is. Now, some of you on the webinar say, hey, you know, Hank, I'm an advanced guy. Well, this is get in, get out, get paid, and move on. You know, I like to do all my own custom macros and custom graphics. You can do a lot of things that you're used to with customization, and it's quick and fast and easy. Elvin was one of the beta testers, and myself, I have a system in my apartment right now, and I'll tell you that I was able to set up a simple system in about 15 minutes. So you'll see there the 4 pieces. Really, all you need for MX HomePro is the hub and access to the software. And once again, we'll be answering questions as we go along. Elvin will be moderating questions, and at the end, we'll review the list of questions. So audio video has become the least profitable thing that you installers can do. Now I always say to people in training, you got to charge $1,500 labor to install $1,200 worth of hardware in a customer's guest bedroom. And you know, people are using wireless audio, they're using sound bars, they're streaming everything. But MX HomePro is fully capable of controlling AV gear. So many of your installations, you're still doing a flat panel TV, maybe you're doing a satellite or cable box, and you're doing AVR or maybe a sound bar. So no problem with that. But the world is expanding and more profit is available for you with other devices. So lighting systems, maybe you want to do something like Philips Hue, Lutron Popular Caseta with a Smart Bridge Pro, and also Lutron Raw 2. So you'll see lighting systems are increased profitability for your customer, and people embrace lighting once they are given a demonstration. And there you see some logos. Now built into the mxhomepro.com portal, you'll notice pull downs to associate the Philips Hue, the Lutron Caseta using a Smart Bridge Pro, and the Lutron Radio Raw 2. So very popular systems in terms of lighting. And for many years, going way back to the old URC Lutron lighting, I always use the phrase, add lighting to every sale. Now, other things that we can control in our virtual house is HVAC control. Nest has become an industry standard. They pay big money for TV commercials. People are familiar with it. Your distributors all sell it. We also have a line of Honeywell Total Connect thermostats. And you'll notice that we say and more because we'll be adding more thermostats in terms of two-way modules. I know there are popular brands that people call out all the time and ask us. And you'll also see when we get to slides about Z-Wave how there's plenty of Z-Wave thermostats. But you would see Nest as a pull down in the software or Honeywell and quickly add a module that's been built for you already. So you're getting the idea that MX HomePro is a time saver. There's your Nest, and there's your Honeywell Total Connect, of which there's 5 various models. Other things that you'll see is the world of Z-Wave. Now, if you're not familiar with Z-Wave, there's 2 portals. We're not going to take time to go over them in this presentation because we have other classes just about Z-Wave. But if you never really looked at Z-Wave recently, you can go to z-wave.com, and that's geared towards the consumer, your customer. Now, many of your customers, affluent folks, have multiple homes. You can show them the benefit of having Z-Wave devices in their other homes to monitor things like flood or doors or cameras. Now, you'll also see there's a website called z-wavealliance.org, and that's the business side of Z-Wave. Now, Z-Wave has over 1,800 products currently, and there's over 180 companies. So you'll see now that there's companies all around the world, and it's a worldwide standard. So if you add the URC TRF-ZW2, you can control popular things like locks. Cameras can be displayed in MX HomePro using Z-Wave protocol. Sometimes you refer to it as ZIP, Z-Wave over IP. And there's thousands of devices. And once again, URC is using Z-Wave because it's a worldwide standard of compatibility. So if you see the Z-Wave logo, that means you can use it. Many things in the system are two-way with feedback, like lights, locks, scenes, and thermostats. Other things work one way, but that's fine because the Z-Wave portal will still give you information. And there you see popular things like locks, maybe surveillance cameras, so things like that, able for you to quickly and easily expand the system. And remember, MX HomePro starts with just the hub, which comes with the Android and iOS app. So this is something you could propose for a future system expansion for a customer, or you could build it into a package right up front. One thing, if you're not familiar with Z-Wave door locks, real estate agents are moving away from the old-fashioned metal lock box with a key inside. So more and more people are just taking it for granted. Somebody will give you a passcode. It'll be timed for a certain amount of time. You can go in, check out a model home or a property that's for sale. And it's all done with a door lock that has a keypad like you see on the screen here. If you're afraid of door locks, get together with a locksmith, be able to help them out. All the door lock companies have online videos and tutorials. And we always talk about Hank's tips and tricks class. One of the main things with door locks is you want to make sure the door is level or plumb so that you don't impede the travel of the door lock itself. Now, this is the TRF ZW2. You have thousands of products. There's hundreds of companies. And the websites I mentioned, z-wavealliance.org, you can see all the newest products from all around the world. Some of your distributors are already selling Z-Wave products. Any of you that have come to URC headquarters for training, we've also got some on display in our training room. So if you add integration for lights, door locks we just spoke about, thermostats, there's all sorts of devices. A good example would be a flood sensor with a Z-Wave water cutoff. So you'll see popular brands like Fabaro or Leak Gopher or Water Cop. So I can have a remote location. If my hot water heater starts to leak, it can send my customer a notification message, and we can also have an action to immediately turn off the water so we avoid damage. Scenes can be developed in your portal, and we use a portal for the TRF-CW2, and that allows you to create things that happen sequentially. So I might have a scene where I unlock the door, I adjust my Z-Wave thermostat to the desired temperature. Maybe I take something like my audio video receiver and put it onto my favorite Pandora channel. And I can adjust my lights to set just the right mood. Z-Wave is easy and quick, and you'll see in a couple of slides we use a separate app called URC Home, and that's how we control Z-Wave in MX HomePro. You can connect either wired with a LAN cable or wirelessly, because this TRF-CW2 at $249 US retail has built-in Wi-Fi capability. And for a small annual fee, your end user customer can get notifications, emails, and text messages. It's not a lot of money, $24.95 a year. You can also set up notifications for yourself in the portal that you use to program the Z-Wave devices. So what's MX HomePro? And I know I'm doing my usual thorough job because I haven't seen any questions pop up yet. So compact, sleek hub for old people like me. It's the size of a CD case. For young people on today's webinar, you can research what compact disc is. You'll also notice there's status lights on the hub, and those change based upon the operation. You see the app displayed on a telephone type device, both for Android and the superior iOS system. Free for you. And you'll notice at the top of the app there's a couple of different native apps there. We're going to talk about that and the importance of that. Beautiful handheld color Wi-Fi remote control. This is a very nice TV channel surfing device and perfect for single room use. And then we just talked about the available TRF-CW2. So you can add all these pieces together, but remember, For those of you that are skeptical, you can just get a hub and the app and start programming immediately. So you can check it out. If you attend one of our live regional trainings, we also have very deep discounts on the day of the training for hub and remote, and also for a Z-Wave gateway with a couple of Z-Wave devices. So let's look at the hub. I described the small size. There's a mounting plate on the bottom. You'll notice that there's status, power, and Wi-Fi indicators, and there's different colors. For those of you that do want to suspend belief that you're an American and actually read the manual, Elvin has got some great manuals, which we'll show you later, that explain the status indicator. You'll also notice 4 ports. There's a power, as far as a plug goes, and then you see your LAN. So IP and IR, people ask the same question all the time when we show them a base that has 4 emitter outputs. Can you use more emitters? You certainly could use double-headed emitters from a commercially sourced, and you want to experiment to make sure the output voltage is going to be sufficient for those double-headed emitters to work. It's light, it's easy to plug in, and this is the brains. This is what stores all the information. So your network commands are relayed. This is what is going to work. And like I said several times today, you could do this just with the app if you want. Me personally, because I'm a TV channel surfing kind of person, now I'm surfing college basketball, hockey, and maybe occasionally professional basketball. Over the weekend, staying up all night long to watch tennis. I would rather have a handheld remote. But for ease of use, just to get started, or some customers who think, oh, I just want to have iPads all over my house, you can indeed just get the hub, which is called the H500, and this is what's going to work with your software. You only need one to get started, and in the software it will show which one is the primary. Now you support 3 in a room times 5 rooms. Survey says 15 hubs. And you can go back and add hubs. Now, when we hardwire the hub to start out with, that's how we're communicating initially to set up the system. 4 IR outputs. There's a front blaster or flood, which is a black window underneath the power indicator at the top. That's very important because that's also how you learn commands in MX HomePro, because the remote control has no ability to send or receive IR. And of course IP. So more and more people are using IP to control things like AVRs. So you can mix and match in your system programming IR, emitters. In some systems you can use the front blaster or flood, and IP. Elvin likes to tell a story about his initial beta testing in his house, and he just positioned the hub so that he was flooding his whole rack with the front blaster. In my apartment I have a system very simple, Blu-ray player, cable box, and a TV, and I actually have my hub sitting sideways with no emitters connected, just next to the cable box, Blu-ray player, and the TV. And it's powerful enough to be able to operate my system consistently. So if I want to mess with my family, I just take out my phone and start turning things on and off from my phone when I'm not in the room. Quick and easy to position. Some people say, well, you know, Hank, I build racks and this doesn't really lend itself towards a rack shelf. With the mounting plate, I'm a big fan of automotive Velcro. Easy to mount, easy to hide, and very powerful. So this is the hub with the app and the software and the dealer registration. You're all ready to go with MX HomePro. Now you'll notice there's a display of a telephonic device, and you'll notice there are listings. So you see things there like a Roku or Sirius XM or Blu-ray player, and those can be changed in the software on what comes up first on the listings. You'll also see in a couple of slides we'll talk about the top, which is the app launcher. So devices that you control, popular things like satellite receivers, cable boxes, Blu-ray players, TVs, AVRs, all those things can be controlled easily with MX HomePro. You can control all the rooms on the project. So you'll notice one of the differences is the handheld remote, which we're going to talk about in a little while. That controls a single room. There's no rooms button on that remote. However, the app, whether you're using phones or tablets, will allow you to have a room's choice, and that's quick and easy for you to select. So once again, you may start with a simple system, and then from that simple system, you'll be able to expand. Carlos asks, how far can the IR blaster reach? Pretty far. It's about 60 feet and about a 60-degree angle. And if you happen to have reflective surfaces like mirrors, it'll definitely work. Can you set it across the room looking at the equipment? You could certainly try. Elvin and I both put it kind of close to the equipment. But the front flood is very powerful. It's essentially the same as the output of a regular remote. So we'll type in 60 feet and 60-degree angle. Now, most of us pros would want to use emitters, but yes, you can definitely do it. So the app allows us different buttons. So you'll see right there, Elvin's got a demonstration on his phone there where he has a family room, and then he also has a patio. And then you'll see there's a settings menu, and there's also access. So you're going to support the commonly used controls. So if I go to my cable box, like I happen to have Verizon Fios with a Motorola cable box, all the buttons that I'm used to seeing. So if you're a URC dealer and you've done CCP or you do total control, all the things you see in your database in CCP or in your drivers in total control, they're all going to be the same. And of course you have multiple pages with multiple menus. So you'll see an example there. We have different menus. And you'll notice quick and easy to be able to scroll through different pages. Notice in this example here, Elvin has it on page 4 of the device Blu-ray/DVD. Then you'll see this view where we have the device choices, and at the top you'll notice there's apps we're going to talk about. What is that? That's an app launcher. So you see the third one over, it's garage door. Recently I just got a new Chamberlain LiftMaster garage door opener, and I got a little module with not a lot of money. It was like 75 bucks retail, and it was instant app called MyQ. So if you saw my personal system, I simply loaded in that MyQ app at the top. Now, of course, that red word to the left of the garage, that's a palindrome that has dominated our industry, Sonos. That is a quick and easy way to launch the Sonos native app. Many companies, including URC, have tried third-party apps. Elvin and I will tell you that URC is using more and more native manufacturers' apps. Then you'll see to the right there is a Nest. So you can have a scroll bar at the top, and you can embed these, and you'll see how that's highlighted. So for a lot of people, they were jumping in and out of the Sonos app, teaching their customer how to do the famous 4-finger swipe. This is an advantage for your customer. So on your tablets and your phones, you can have this little app launcher. And the beauty is once you get into that app, that's going to be managed by the manufacturer. URC's engineers have researched the native app is more likely to have frequent updates and stay in sync with the device than a third party where URC pays somebody or URC develops their own module. So this is an ongoing trend, and I really like the app launcher because it shows me not only my system, but the apps available just at the top of my screen. So there you have, for example, a Nest, and there's your feedback from your Nest. And we've just done some updates to Nest in the last couple of weeks, so Echo Mode I know works now after our friend Larry Zalata from URC had posted new updates. For Z-Wave, you have a different app, and that's called the URC Home app. It's free. You just go to the App Store or you go to the Play Store. And here, for example, you see we're looking at a Honeywell Z-Wave thermostat, which is different from the Honeywell Total Connect thermostats. Honeywell's got about 100 different thermostats. But if you're a Honeywell dealer, you'll know the difference. So if you're using a Honeywell Z-Wave thermostat, you'll see here on this beautiful slide that Elvin made for us, we've got temperature, you've got the outside and inside temperature, and you'll be able to see room, type, and a list of all your devices. And once again, this would be facilitated with the TRF-ZW2 Z-Wave gateway, and you use software that's associated with that with a portal that we call UI7, and that's why it looks the same. I mentioned earlier, but in the onslaught of information you may not have heard me say, Z-Wave camera activity over IP. Check with many of your camera manufacturers, the brands you love to sell and install. They may have this capability available. So there you see our beach fence. I was at the Jersey Shore this weekend. It is kind of cold. You can only walk outside for about a half an hour at 35 degrees. Now, if you use something like a sensor, I mentioned something like, say, a water or flood sensor, or maybe a motion sensor. I know some people have a motion sensor at a doorway. Maybe I have a walk-in closet for my customer. I don't need to have a light switch. I can have the light go on and off automatically with a sensor. So you can trigger events with sensors. You can see what devices are connected or paired with the network. And all this is done through the portal, which we call UI7, which is a separate account that you get for free from URC headquarters. If you're on today's webinar and you're a Total Control dealer, you already have an account for Z-Wave. That's okay. You'll see in a little while how we need to set up an account for MX HomePro. And once again, we talked about realtors using electronic door locks now, thermostats, lights, and scenes. Scenes can be very powerful to show your customer, even at this price point. So to be able to do all these different things on the app for free is great. I can't tell you how many times in class people say, oh, my customer doesn't want a remote. They just want to have their iPad. Now, one of the things I always point out in training is when we go into a live training, the first thing everybody scrambles to do is plug in their power supply for their computer. We all know that battery life on mobile devices is not very long. And we know that phones and tablets are multi-use devices. So I always point out to people that using a tablet or a phone for TV channel surfing is a terrible experience. So you do want to be able to see handheld remote, and this is designed for single room application. So the app gives you the multi-rooms, up to 5 rooms. The handheld remote, beautiful ergonomic design, hard buttons, easy to use, quick connect Wi-Fi. It's the fastest Wi-Fi connecting remote we have. So you'll see in one of the setup stages that we're going to talk about actually setting up Wi-Fi for the network. New lithium polymer battery. There's no tabletop charger stand. You have a new USB charger plug. I happen to be an Android person, so it's the same plug that I have for my Android tablet and my Android phone. And it's supplied in the box with your purchase. Channel favorites are free for 12 months from Grace Note. And this is a cool feature. So I mentioned earlier I have Verizon Fios. I just entered in my location. It came up with Verizon Fios for the area that I'm in northern New Jersey. And after about 3 minutes, Grace Note populates a list. One thing I'll tell you from Hank's tips and tricks I learned the hard way with favorites, if you don't select some favorites and save them, if you hit the back button, the next time you go back to favorites, you have to initialize it again. The good thing about favorites is your customer can add or delete favorites once they have them set up. So this is cool because this works on the handheld remote and it also works on the tablets and phones. And you'll notice it says it syncs, so everything stays in sync between the apps and the handheld remote. If you got that Z-Wave camera feed, you could see it right there. So there's the garage door. We can see our neighbors stealing our Amazon Prime packages. And you're supporting two-way modules. This is $299 US retail. The hub is $299. So in sales talk, $598, less than $600. Get your beautiful color handheld Wi-Fi remote and all the power of the app with the hub. So, free two-way modules built into the software, communication over IP. So you'll see things like Sonos, Denon Hios, Bose, Sound Touch. I know the headquarters folks are working on the Blue Sound. I've seen demos of Blue Sound. Caseta, remember with Caseta you need a Smart Bridge Pro, RA2, URC's Vivito lighting, which is our Z-Wave lighting, and the Philips U light bulbs for when you need to set a specific mood. Savoya shades, Nest thermostat, Honeywell thermostat. You'll see things like Cool Master automation. And when we add new devices, you'll see them be added to the pull down in your MX HomePro software. And we already talked about Z-Wave with the Z-Wave Gateway. So cloud-based software. While most of us still use a PC, you can use a tablet or a phone. Now, not only do I wear dollar store glasses, but I've got fat, stubby fingers. So programming on a phone is kind of laborious for me. I guess I could use a stylus on my Note. But the bottom line is tablet or computer makes it easy. But you don't need a computer. Remember that you have access anywhere you have service on your cloud, so it's compatible with your mobile devices, and you don't have to learn any software. You don't have to go to class. If you've done Complete Control before, it's pretty similar in terms of being intuitive. There are some differences and some name changes, but I'll tell you, the first time I programmed, I got a simple system up and running in like 20 minutes. And it works with any of your connected devices. So here's something that's important. While the whole world thinks everything is wireless, we give you a short LAN cable in the box that comes with the hub. So you want to hardwire initially. You'll see in a couple of slides, after your initial setup, you can just run it on Wi-Fi. We always recommend hardwiring if you're going to put it in a rack and it's going to be close to your router. So make sure your router is connected to the internet and functioning properly. Plug in the cable and then plug it into the wall. Then after a couple of minutes, you'll see the lighting status change. Once the lights settle down, you'll be ready to go. Now in your dealer account, you'll see two different options. On the left side of your screen, it's getting started from the remote. On the right side of your screen, it's getting started from the app. Several times today I've said you don't need to buy the remote to get started. You can just use the hub. So it's pretty easy because you'd already be on the same network and you'd see the network information and then you could set up a new system. So the app is kind of straightforward. With the remote, there's a little more steps involved where you're going to go push buttons on the remote like you do with other URC remotes, and you're going to go find the network, and then you're going to click on the network that you selected, and that network is going to be identified as the system you're setting up. Not very difficult, just a little bit more involved as far as setting up the remote versus the app itself. Once you're ready to go, you either hit Get Started or you hit Set Up a New System, and you're ready to rock. Now you'll see there on the remote, there is your network choices. So for example, in my house, I have Fios. I would hit the Fios network. You see on the right side, you see username, password, set up a new system. So you just could click on Set Up a New System and be ready to go and register. For those of you who are used to Total Control or Complete Control, it's just different. So suspend any knowledge that you have from those other product lines. MX HomePro is fast and easy, a powerful system to set up. So you select your wireless network on the remote. You select the base station, which if you start with one, you're only going to have one in your system. And then you'll see there, that's the actual MAC address. For those of you that have good eyesight, you can actually see the little white sticker on the bottom of the hub. There it comes up automatically on your network in your app, and you'll notice that is the corresponding base station. So once you select those, you're ready to go. And there's the magic of using your virtual finger. You got 12 hours for this programming key to be valid. So for 12 hours, you can program. Gives you a lot of time to go do other things and come back. You could take a screenshot of this. You could be an old person like me and write it down like in an email. You could take the Sharpie and write it on the wall of the installation that you're doing. But you're going to need this programming key because this is what you're going to register in the software for this system. And you'll notice that it's going to show you the programming key, and you'll see I want to be able to register this in my setup. So we set up. If you decide that you don't want to keep the hub on the LAN cable, you can just simply unplug it. I'll tell you a funny real-world story. In my apartment, I had the hub hardwired to my router. I went on a business trip. My college graduate son had dug out his old laptop to do some gaming. He unplugged the cable from the router that was going into the hub and plugged it into his gaming computer. The hub automatically set to wireless. I didn't have to do anything. And the wireless status, the blue light on the right corner, lit up. So I came back from a business trip and I looked at my system, still working properly with my app and my handheld remote, and I didn't have to do anything. Now URC will always tell you, if you can leave something hardwired, that's preferable. So if it's going to be in a rack and it's going to be placed near your router, it's probably a wise idea to leave it hardwired. But you can move it around and use it wirelessly. There is that programming key, which will have a 12-hour life cycle. When you go into the dealer account setup, you see that flashing red button there with the finger. That's register a new system here. Now, you're going to be able to go and add systems. What's really nice about MX HomePro is that you're going to have multiple systems that you can look at, and you'll have a dealer's job list. So you'll be able to look at all the systems that you populate. Dealer account, very important. You go into the top where there's a help listing, and you can pull down. You'll see once you have a dealer account already registered with URC, it's free. Then you'll have login and register, which I'll do live in a couple of minutes. You'll notice that we have highlighted in that red box the importance of the programming key. Currently, there's only one base station, but in the future, URC may have other base stations. Maybe at CEDIA time, you'll see other things coming. You created a dealer account. You'll see there's a radio button there that says Add System to Existing User's Account. Who's the user? You. It's not the end user. It's you. You're the dealer. You got your username and your password. And then if it says, I need to create a user account, that's your customer. So once you do that, it'll send you a temporary password. What's important is that you got to use your email address or an email address that you're going to have access to. When you get this temporary password, then you're going to be able to begin the process. So this is a big warning. Elvin and I talked about this with our training department members, and this is where people get confused. You're entering your dealer info here, and then the system, mxhomepro.com, will send you, the dealer, temporary password. Don't make the mistake and add the end user's email here. Once you do that, you'll have a window. You can log in and register, and you'll see create a new user. So you put in the temporary password that's emailed to you, enter the user's email address. That's the an email address that you want to be able to put. So you'll see here's my temporary password. This is the customer's email. For rich people, it may be their personal assistant. You'll put in a username for the customer, Dr. Jones or whatever. Then you'll enter a password. And you'll confirm. Once you do these steps, the next button will light up. And you go to another screen. So you see it says, add a new system. It found the base station. There's your MAC address. You could put what living room it's in. Now in the screen I'm going to show you in a couple of minutes, I got things that say Spring Lake. My apartment is called Avalon. I have a system that I did at a distributor in Detroit. But in this screenshot, we've got the MAC address of the base station. We've got living room as where it's located. We've got JR's residence. You can pick military or 24-hour time if you are inclined. Be nice for you to pick the correct time zone. This way timed events can happen. Automatically adjust for daylight savings time unless you're in one of those rare places that does not have daylight savings time. And then you can put in an address, put in a phone number, put in the installer's name, and then you'll see there's the customer name. So while it's not necessary to fill out all these things, if you plan on doing a lot of MX HomePro systems, it'll make your My Jobs dealer list much easier to navigate. So where's the hub? What room is it in? Or what rack? Maybe you say equipment rack or something like that. Enter a name, save the system. Date and time, vitally important. And then the customer's info. And once again, when you have this in My Jobs list, this will make it a lot easier. So because you're storing stuff in the cloud, not only can you have whole jobs, but you can also do templates and devices. So if you live in a geographic area and you only have 3 cable TV companies, and you build a project for those 3 cable TV companies, and then you got 2 satellite companies, Dish and DirecTV, you could have 5 devices that you've already made, and you've made the labels and the buttons the way you like, and you can go into the software and you can take those devices and add them in. Let's say you're doing a builder job and you're putting in some basic room systems. You can go and take a room and import and export those from the software as well. And remember, it's all in the cloud, so it's nothing you have to pay for, storage, and you don't need a computer. You can do it on a tablet or a phone. Z-Wave account is created for free at URC headquarters. If you already have a Total Control Z-Wave account, just remember you have to make a dealer account for MX HomePro. And they're all free. If you're on today's webinar and you don't have a Z-Wave account and you've never done MX HomePro, you quickly and easily register for both, and URC headquarters will send you back a confirmation message. Now, when I'm logged in and I pull down from the top, you see there where it says JR System, you'll see it says System Settings. So you can add that customer system you just programmed to your dealer account. It's like a My Jobs list. It'll confirm that you have that now. The other feature is the jobs list will show me all the different things. I'll show you mine in a couple of minutes. There's also something called Virtual Editor. So if you're on today's webinar and you're skeptical and you don't want to buy an actual hub, you want to take it for a test drive. So what the engineers have developed is the ability for you to use a virtual editor. Now, the virtual editor doesn't have all the features, but that doesn't matter because you don't really have a hub. So you can just sign up with URC for a free dealer account and a free Z-Wave account, and then you can pull down the virtual editor. And when you start the virtual editor, you can actually go in and play with the programming and see how it works. Then you'll also see File Explorer, and I just alluded to this a couple of minutes ago, which is you can export a room as a template. You can export a device file, like say your cable box or your AVR, your favorite TV, and then you can import those. So after a couple of months, when you build up an account with your MX HomePro information, it's like you had with other URC products with drivers and total control, or you had templates and devices in CCP. So this is quick and easy, and it's all stored for you in the cloud. Now we're going to look at the MX Editor Overview. So you'll see here, there's a tab that says Home Overview. And I have a sample system file that we can use, and we can see what's going to happen here. So I'm going to escape this for a minute. I'm going to go over here to my browser. I have mxhomepro.com, mxhomepro.com. I'm logged in. You see it comes up as me. If you go to the Help tab, tech support, telephone number, apply for a dealer account. This is what you got to do if you want to get a dealer account. Elvin's beautiful manuals, which Americans refuse to read. You'll also notice Help Me and Show Advanced Programming menu. So I just clicked on the Help, and that's where I found that. If we were doing a new system, which I'm not doing today's class, we would start here. But I'm going to log into an existing system. There's me. Now you'll notice at the beautiful Jersey Shore, I have 115 South Manor Court, and that's a system registered to me. Avalon, which is 14 Meeker Drive in Florham Park, New Jersey, that's registered to my Westie, Kenzie, who's been a good girl. She's been quiet the whole time that I'm talking. And then you'll notice here another persona, which is Henry Eisengrein, which could be my real name. And this was at a distributor in Detroit. So let's look at a simple system first. You see here's the information when I created it, System Lake, Spring Lake, and I have a very, very technical installer, Izzy Green. So you'll notice there it says the living room. If I want to change that, I can click on it and change it. If I wanted to delete the room, I could delete it. You'll notice my high-end Toshiba TV, only the finest 720p quality. Cablevision is Optimum Online. A Sony DVD player that's 6 years old because I resurrected it from my pile of ancient equipment. And then Apple TV 3rd generation. In this system, I don't have any devices programmed for advanced. I did make an entertainment activity schedule to wake up to music from my cable TV, the Butterfly Soundscapes spa type music. You'll notice some icons here. This is for favorite channels. This is that Grace Note thing. So I don't want favorite channels on my TV, but I did have favorite channels on my cable box because that's my source. You'll notice volume punch through. In this system, I have audiophile equipment, so I go out of the TV optical, and then I go into D-Day converter, and that D-Day converter goes into preamp and amp combo. Then you'll notice here, I got punch through and punch through. So it doesn't say the word punch through, but you'll notice it has that. I can change the name here, or I can delete a device. And survey says, can I control Kodi on Amazon Fire TV or Apple TV? And you would with the native app from those, but you're not going to create a macro that's going to jump. So remember the in-app launcher? So Julian wants to control some of these things, like say he's got a Kodi box. Yes, indeed, you could jump into the native app. So that's one system, and you see I programmed to wake up. If I go to the programming menu here, you'll see, and we're not doing a full programming class here today, but we'll give you a quick overview. Add a remote to this room. Add entertainment devices to this system. So you'll notice a pull-down list, and if you've done URC before, you'll see a lot of popular things in terms of what to do with adding devices. So if I said I wanted to go here and I wanted to add something like a satellite box and hit next, I name it, and then you see I hit next, and you search for a brand, And then let's say we had something like DirecTV. You'd go here and hit next, and then you'll see you can search by model and go for that. We're going to do a separate webinar on programming, so I'm not going to go in depth here, but we'll show you if I go back to the programming menu, add entertainment devices, set the volume, that's your punch through, set up a power off button for the system. Simple activity is like a help button. For older folks, like my 75-year-old neighbors at my condo at the Jersey Shore, it might make sense to make on and off buttons for everything. You can add an additional controller, add advanced devices. What are advanced devices? So here's all your pull-down modules for the different things that are currently available. And as we update, you'll see more and more things that URC will populate this list with. I'll tell you one thing that's kind of confusing. Advanced devices is not found on the advanced menu. It's found under the programming menu. So you don't see it there. You'll also notice you could program a different room. And remember, if you add different hubs, the rooms are controlled by the app, not by the handheld remote. Overview of the advanced menu. Automate activities. This is what you all know as macros. Edit your macros. Add a room to the system. Edit the entertainment menu. So you'll see here, I have Cablevision as the name of the provider in my condo at the Jersey Shore. Then I got a beautiful Sony DVD, Apple TV 3rd generation, Toshiba television, and then I made a favorite channel for sports. So on this system, 3 delay, 5 delay, enter is actually a high definition channel for ESPN. Then you'll see I can also show scheduled entertainment events. If I go back, you'll notice I can edit layouts. So for those of you coming from the world of CCP, that is like your edit and label buttons. For those of you who are doing total control, this is like your driver. Remember, we got fresh batteries in our factory remote, and we're learning into the hub head-to-head. There's no way to learn into the remote. You'll notice the home overview, and there I showed you that, and then download, which obviously we're not going to do. If I go back here, and I see overview, account settings, system settings, log out, file explorer, and here's my dealer's jobs list. So instead of showing you another simple system, I'll show you something probably more representative of what you pros would do. I did this at a distributor in Detroit. So you see we did this, once again, programmed by Izzy. So you see here is a real television. That's a 4K TV. And then we had Charter. No choice about that. That's the cable company. Once again, I didn't put the favorites on the TV. I put the favorites on the Charter cable box. We're using a Denon AVR here. So you see the volume, the punch through is associated to the AVR. We got a Sony Blu-ray. We got the Denon itself. We got Apple TV. Then we added in some advanced devices. Nest. We have HEOS. And we had a Z-Wave module. And then I made a wake up to my favorite music. In this class, there was actually a guy who had 4 dogs, and his wife had special channels for the dogs to wake up. Everybody asks how much the favorites are after 12 months. There's no official word from URC headquarters. I did just talk to our good friend URC's Sean Sturmer about an hour ago, and he seems to think it's like $11.99. Someday somebody will find out from Grace Moat how much it's going to cost. But I don't think it's a big deal breaker. I'm sure some of you smart guys will just reinitiate it and try to get another 12 months for free. Thanks for that good question. So here's a system that you would sell in a mid-price theater. You got a big TV, beautiful Sony. Unfortunately, we have Charter in this neck of the woods. We got a Blu-ray player. The new Sony Blu-ray player is really good for not a lot of money. Got a Denon receiver, whatever brand you like, Apple TV, and 2-way feedback with your Nest, your HEOS, and your Z-Wave, plus I programmed a module here. So that gives you an overview in terms of what's happening with this system. Once again, quickly to look at the programming menu and to look at your advanced menu. And if I wanted to go in and say, I'm going to edit an automated activity, we'll give you a little taste of this. So you see if I went here and I said I wanted to edit something like this, Blu-ray player, you see this is a macro. Now we're not teaching you how to build macros in this class, but you can quickly and easily edit. When is CCP better choice than MX HomePro? Alan says. When you want to spend more time, when you want one way only, when you don't want to have apps, but you're an advanced graphic programmer and you want to make tons and tons of custom graphics, and you want to make some things that are customizable with your templates with custom graphics. I'm a longtime CCP person, having worked here 15 years. I'll tell you, after playing with MX HomePro, for most of your customer systems, it's definitely the way to go because everybody's in love with their phone and their tablet. CCP's not going away. We still sell tons of CCP, but all the two-way network CCP stuff went away. So even if you had a KP4000 keypad, you'll notice we don't support two-way with that anymore. So good question from Alan. Because you can do variables. Paul is thinking, Hank, you know, what if the internet goes down? Well, as long as there's electrical power from your generator, the customer's network is still working, the hub will work. So you only need an internet for initial setup and obviously for when you're communicating, when you're making changes. But yes, you can have no internet. That's something that comes up in mobile installations, RVs, and also your marine applications. Oh, questions are coming in fast and furious. How do most installers control TVs with an emitter? I like rear panel input on an AVR and a TV. And for Patrick and everybody else on Hank's Tips and Tricks class, I will tell you rear panel IR input on a Sony 4K TV is a stereo mini jack. You can email me, Hank at Universal Remote, for that tip. Chris says, well, an average customer only has 5 to 6 devices and wants a handheld remote. This URC solution will run $600 before program. Customers tell me, why is URC better than $150 Harmony Companion? What's the easy way to do the upsell? So Chris, I've been in the electronics business since 1978, and I never disparage competitors. In fact, 3 weekends ago on our URC forum, I was talking with people about the robust Harmony system in terms of their software. The downside from Harmony is their hardware lasts about 18 months. And many of you guys have URC customers with MX 500s and MX 850s and MX 700s that are still working after 5, 6, 7 years. So the upsell is, this is a professional system, not do-it-yourselfer, and the idea is that the hardware is more robust. Are there customers? Hang and bang, TV, cable box, sound bar, Harmony makes sense? Sure. But you'll find on a lot of the forums, our forums as well as Remote Central, where dealers will explain how they're replacing Harmony remotes. And remember, with the simple setup here in the software, you can go and quickly make help button for older customers. So let's go back to the home overview. We'll see what that system looked like. We'll remember the pull down. Here's my file explorer. So here's the screenshot that we showed you a little while ago. We're at the top of the hour, so it's time to go back to PowerPoint. We'll answer more questions. We're going to go back and we're going to show you some resources. So we've got some resources here. Go to URC Control Room and you'll see related materials. We're going to do that right now. So I go over here. I go to the URC Control Room. If you don't have a password, we'll give you a code to register. Go to the tab for MX HomePro. Some of you guys use Ad Blocker, so you may not see that pop-up banner. Go to Getting Started. Images is a romantic place to go because it's just got some beautiful images of all the products. Then you'll also see, if I go back here to Collateral, it'll have literature and all sorts of things, plus brochures. And the one that's the most important, which is really similar to this one, is Software and Resources. So when you scroll down, to the very bottom, that's where I got the software. Or you can go to your browser and just type in mxhomepro.com. Here's all the manuals. If you're an American, just make believe you've moved temporarily to another country. And there's tons of information here to be able to show you. Advanced devices would be how do I set up my Nest or my RA2. Camera integration helps you with your Z-Wave. There's a Z-Wave programming. This is the big book. This is We Know You're Lazy. That's fast and easy. Here's the grace notes, and these are the individuals. The other thing you'll notice as we get to the top of the hour here is we got videos. So in addition to all those beautiful documents that Elvin has created and posted, and our marketing department has put together as far as the literature goes, you'll see there's our URC University, and then there's actually a help tab, which I clicked on inside the software itself. So if I go back to my browser, and then we'll get back to answering your questions, and I go over here to the More tab. If you're using a tablet or a phone, this will be munged with the search box. You won't see it. Go here, and you'll see there is URC University. It's a separate website. You sign up for free. It's a separate login. I'm already logged in. You'll see that the calendar will populate in a minute when the flash comes up. And so this is where you'll see live trainings, and you'll also see that we're doing webinars. So we have some live training events coming up. So tomorrow, I know our good friend Brett Kozlowski will be in the Chicagoland area at CED. And when you go to a live training, we have really deep discounts on the hub and the remote and also some Z-Wave stuff. You'll also notice if we scroll to the top of the page, you go to course catalog right under the URC logo. Our buddy Jeff Rogers, affectionately referred to as JR, made these great videos. So they come with a free Boston accent, but they're very easy getting started, becoming an expert, and configuring Z-Wave. And I've watched every one of these, and they average between 7 and 11 minutes. So these are really good. And they're sequential, so you take one, you can jump into another. So everything that we're doing in these classes, you can do on video, you can read a manual, or you can go back to the software and you go to the help button. And remember the slider here. There's all your manuals. Here's your help buttons with questions and be able to look at the advanced programming menu. So let's jump back in and see some of the questions that we've got going. Most installers use emitters. Programming, I answered your question about this. How long is this class? You could leave now if you want. We want to thank you for coming. We're going to leave it open for a couple of minutes and answer questions, but typically this class is about an hour. First time I taught it, I got a little bit overzealous with Elvin's beautiful PowerPoint. Any other questions? Email me, Hank at universalremote.com. Any Alexa integration soon, Alan says. And if we go back to the URC University and we take a look at the home page and we look at the calendar populate and we look here, we'll see this week Elvin and I are teaching a brand new webinar, push notifications, geofencing, and NFC. And then next Friday, the answer to what everybody wants to know, which is Alexa, get out your Echo, get out your Dot, and ready to rock. So yes, that'll be coming. Probably going to be released about Valentine's Day. So you can call 1-800-PRO-FLOWERS and then you may not have to use your fire extinguisher, but you can say, Alexa, order flowers. That'll be exciting, and we're going to have a new webinar on that, and we'll also have some live training tutorials. Julian says, great job. I try to do my best. You can email me, Hank at Universal Remote. Alan says, MX HomePro or just Total Control. Initial release on the Alexa integration, also on that NFC and all that stuff. Travis couldn't wait. Travis, you know the inside joke is the minute we release Alexa, everybody's going to say, what about Google Home? Alan's answer, right now it's for total control, but they're going to integrate it into other platforms too. Are we working on Google Home? Yes, we are. The API on Google Home is not as fully fleshed out, Travis, as the Alexa guys are doing with Amazon. Chris says, I guess the biggest protection from that is that you have to be a dealer to get access to programming pages through URC. Yeah, that's the answer to your Amazon, Harmony question. And nobody brought it up in this class, but you're all smart guys and girls. Can you take over another dealer's job? Right now, URC headquarters and the engineers are working on how we're going to do that from a legal standpoint or from an ethical standpoint where a customer says they want to shut you out and they want to switch. Right now, the only way to do it is the cloud administrator, who's someone that works at URC headquarters. But it is a fast-growing system. I'll tell you, in the several months that I've had it, it's a lot of fun to use. And with the app launcher, especially my new garage door opener, it's a fantastic way to just jump into apps and be able to go and see what I'm doing. You know, I'm a Sirius satellite radio person for a long time, so I just can launch my Sirius app and look at my XM radios right from the screen of my interface, jump into my garage door opener. All those things are really good. And of course, the other things that you guys are installing. So that's it. Any other questions, type in. If not, on behalf of everybody at URC, your buddy Hank Eisengrein, I want to thank you. One thing we're going to do is more webinars. So you'll notice that we have the URC University schedule and we have live trainings. If you get a chance to go to live training, next week, Mark Bain is going to be in Tampa and Atlanta. 2 weeks from now, Sean Sturmer is going to be in Atlanta for 2 days. We're going all over the place. We just came back from Sacramento and Oakland, and we're doing stuff all over. So want to thank everybody. Bill's sending me a big shout out in capital letters. Thanks. That means I can read it without my dollar store glasses. Appreciate everybody coming. Remember one last thing. Complete Control is not going away. Total Control is our flagship automation system. MX HomePro is a whole new system, fast, quick, and easy. Thanks to everybody. Thanks to Elvin, and we'll talk to you soon. See you all for a new webinar on Friday, 9 a.m. Learn about geofencing, push notifications, and NFC for Android with our Total Control system. Hank, H-A-N-K, at universalremote.com. I'll leave this open for a couple of minutes for any more questions. And I want to thank everybody on behalf of Elvin and myself and everybody at the award-winning URC training department.